Hi everyone, I'm Bee. Welcome back to Read and Roam, the channel where we learn about text and how it fits into our world. Hey, can you hear that? It's raining! It's been scorching hot lately, so I'm happy. It's finally raining. While I was listening to the rain, it reminded me of one of my favorite poems. It's called Rain in Summer by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Listen to how it starts. How beautiful is the rain after the dust and heat, in the broad and fiery street, in the narrow lane. How beautiful is the rain. I love this poem. So that got me thinking, why don't we make poetry the topic of today's lesson? Let's get into it. So, what exactly is poetry? Poetry is a kind of text just like stories or nonfiction writing are types of text. A piece of poetry is called a poem, and poems use creative language to share ideas or feelings and create vivid imagery in readers' minds. But how are poems different from stories? One way is structure, or how the words are arranged. Look at the poem I started reading and a story side by side. What do you notice? Pause the video to record at least two differences you notice between the structure of a poem and a story. The poem isn't written in sentences like the story. Instead, it has lines, which are like rows of words. A line might be a full sentence that ends with a period, or it might be just a few words. In poetry, each line starts on a new row, even if the sentence keeps going. Now, let's look at how those lines are grouped. Each group is called a stanza, kind of like a paragraph in a story. Poets use stanzas to organize their ideas and create rhythm and flow. Some poems have just one stanza, and others have many. Now that you know about a poem's structure, let's see what else is different. As I read part of Rain in Summer, think about what makes poems unique. How beautiful is the rain after the dust and heat, in the broad and fiery street, in the narrow lane. How beautiful is the rain! How it clatters along the roofs like the tramp of hoofs. How it gushes and struggles out from the throat of the overflowing spout. Across the window pane it pours and pours, and swift and wide, with a muddy tide, like a river down the gutter roars the rain. The welcome rain. Great poem, right? Apart from structure, what else makes a poem different from a story? You might have realized that poems use fewer words and they sound different. Poets choose words carefully for how they sound. Did you notice the poem had a kind of rhythm, sort of like music? Now, look at the words rain and lane and wide and tide. What do you notice? They rhyme, meaning the word endings sound the same. Poets sometimes use rhyme and other tools like repetition and alliteration to make their poems flow and sound a certain way. You might have also noticed that the poem doesn't have a storyline with characters. Unlike stories, poems don't have to follow a pattern with a beginning, middle, and end or include characters. Some poems might tell a story with characters, others might zoom in on an idea, and many focus on creating a mood or vivid imagery. Poems can be long or short, silly or serious, rhyming or not. That's what makes poetry so fun to explore. Poetry is a great way to sum up our lessons on the language and tools authors use, because poets, the ones that write poems, use many of these tools as well. Poets might use similes and metaphors, personification, sound devices, sensory details, word choice, and mood. There are many more, but since you're experts on these ones, we'll focus on them today. If you need a reminder about each one, check out your lesson materials for a summary. Let's go back to Rain in Summer to explore how the poet has used these writing tools to make the poem interesting and fun to read. First off, similes and metaphors. Can you find any? What about how it clatters along the roofs like the tramp of hoofs? Is this a simile or metaphor? It's a simile because it uses the word like. What does this simile help you imagine? This makes me picture the noisy rain on the roof, like an animal's hooves stamping quickly. There aren't any metaphors in this poem, though. Poets might not use all writing tools. Instead, they just pick the ones that work best for their poem. What about personification? Check this sentence out. How it gushes and struggles out from the throat of the overflowing spout. Which words are related to human characteristics? Struggles out and throat. Rain can't struggle like a person can, and the spout doesn't literally have a throat. But by using those words, we picture the heavy rain spilling out of the spout, making it feel alive. Now, let's look for sound devices. Do you spot any repetition? Here's a repeated phrase, "How beautiful is the rain?" What effect does that have on us as readers? The repetition of this happy, enthusiastic sentence helps to get it stuck in our minds and makes us feel glad about the rain. Let's check for other sound devices like onomatopoeia. Do you notice any? Clatters is like a loud rattling sound, and roar is the sound a wild animal makes. How do these sounds make you feel, and what do you imagine? Both help me imagine the dramatic and exciting sounds heavy rain makes. The scene feels loud and dramatic. And these onomatopoeias aren't just sound devices, they're also sensory details related to sound. They help readers create vivid imagery in their minds and even make readers feel like they're inside the poem. What about other sensory details? Can you find any related to touch? Focus on the first stanza and pause the video to circle any sensory details related to a feeling and touch. Then record what they help you imagine. I circled heat and fiery street. They help me imagine the hot sun burning down on me and that satisfying, refreshing feeling you get on a scorching hot day when it starts to rain. Lastly, let's talk about word choice and mood. How does this poem make you feel? Pause the video to record how the poem makes you feel. Remember to think about the word choice. For me, the mood feels exciting or energetic. Which words make it feel that way? Think about all the words the poet carefully chose. Check out the words pours and pours and muddy tide. They make the scene feel chaotic, loud, and full of energy, helping to create an exciting mood. One of the reasons poems are so amazing is that they have the power to make us feel different emotions. Great work today! We explored so much in just one poem. We saw how poets can take something as simple as a rainy day and turn it into something magical. Now, I bet you're excited to read more poems, so check out your lesson materials to find more of my favorites. And guess what? The rain stopped. That's my cue to go outside and enjoy the sunshine. I'll see you next time, and remember, where there are words, there's a world to explore. Hey, hey.